to Thursday Night Football with Calvin Dean, sponsored by the NRL Network. Thank you, everyone. This is week 14, and you have the Calvin Dean Show coming at you on a Thursday night. And welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's an interesting week. I mean, this is a week that is just going to be very interesting because we have the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, playing the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, mind you. And, this is, now Ben Roethlisberger was talking today. He was interviewed, and he said that his surgically repaired elbow is fine. It's fine. It's not sore at all. But his throwing shoulder is very sore. Now, mind you, he did mention that he's been in the league for some time, and it just takes longer for him to feel better. And he has a very sore shoulder, and that's something to be questioned about. Now, on the other hand, you have the Minnesota Vikings, whose Dalvin Cook is a 50-50 chance to play tonight. You do have Madison. That's a good option. And if you have both of them, that's a wonderful option. And then, how can you stop Mr. Jefferson? Jefferson's just playing out of his mind. And, now Adam Thielen is out. So the others are going to have to step up. Like, Conklin's going to have to step up. And these guys are really going to have to step up and go forward if they want to win tonight. And on the other hand, with the Steelers, you have an ailing Ben Roethlisberger who, mind you, I think I think this is his last year. That's just my opinion. Now, he doesn't want it to be his last year. I'm sure that's the case. But I just have that strange feeling, and they're going to really need an heir apparent. And that's another thing. When they lose Ben Roethlisberger, it's going to be like the Saints. The Saints losing Drew Brees, and they didn't have anyone really to back him up, how can you back up a Drew Brees? That's really tough. And to back up a Ben Roethlisberger is even, it's just as tough, guys. It's just as tough. The guy's really good. When he first came into the league, all the guys I remember he'd be in the pocket and he would throw the ball with guys just hanging on him. He would just, he's big. He's a big guy. He's 200 and some odd pounds, 250, 60 pounds. He's huge. And, he's just strong. And, all those hits he's taken, he's a drop back passer, mind you. He's not a running quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger really isn't. He's tried to run a couple of times, but he just isn't. But he is good at sliding from side to side and stepping up and delivering the ball in traffic. That's what his one accomplishment as a quarterback, my opinion, is the way he could stand in the pocket and just get hit and throw the ball and just have guys just hanging on him, trying to tackle him. He just throws the ball 20, 30 yards down the field when everyone's on him and, dimes it, to a receiver. How many times have we seen that, huh? Wow, for many years. So tonight's game's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting game. If you want to look at the stats in this game, the Vikings offense is number 8, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are number 23. They're 23rd, and their defense on the Pittsburgh Steelers, you would think they were better than what they are. They're 19th in defense, 19th. And their defense on the Minnesota Vikings are 29th. They showed it against the 0-10-1 Detroit Lions, and then when they met Detroit last week, they lost. The Minnesota Vikings did, to a Detroit Lion team, and their defense is what killed them. They were terrible last year, and they're just as terrible this year. And something's wrong there. They have a number 8 offense and a number 29 defense. You just can't keep outscoring the other team. I mean, you have to have some help, and the help is you need the defense. And the reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-5-1, that one tie was with the Detroit Lions, and Minnesota just got beaten by the Detroit Lions. Both of these teams, the Detroit Lions played them tough. Both teams. So that tells me this: the Detroit Lions were 0-10-1. Now they're 1-10-1, right? Follow me on this one. So what I don't get about this is that, they played both of these teams. And like I said, one team they tied and the other team they beat. It tells me that both the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings aren't as good as their record. And more on the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings' number 8 offense. Their passing is number 7. Kirk Cousins is just passing out of his mind. He loves Mr. Jefferson. He loves him and Thielen, and it doesn't help, having, a couple of great backs. Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the NFL, and Madison, to back him up. And, I mean, that duo is scary. So, you have the passing attack on the Pittsburgh Steelers is 17th. Wow. And their defense is 19th. They're 6-5-1. There you go. That's their record. But they're rushing, even with Najee Harris. They're all about this Najee Harris. Yeah, he scores, an ample number of points in fantasy football, because I have him on a few of my teams. But, I mean, they're in 29th. That's not that good. That's almost last. So their offense is 29th. Their passing offense 17th. Rushing offense 29th. And then you have the Minnesota Vikings rushing offense is 15th. So, I mean, you got to think about this, guys. I mean, you have a 29th defense and an 8th ranked offense. That just, I don't know, that's scary on the hand of, if you're an owner, what's going on there? What is wrong with their defense? Now, they do have a defensive player back today that they say that it's going to make them stronger, the Minnesota Vikings. So that might help. I just don't see, this game is just such an ugly game to think about, really. You think about it, you have the last time that these two played, the Vikings beat them 4 years ago, 26-9. Now, that was it in Pittsburgh, mind you. Now, this is a different animal. It's, people don't understand. It's hard to win an away game. The Tampa Bay Bucks, they're 5-0. It's hard to win an away game. And if you are, if your batting average is like, if you're 5 for 5, 5 wins and 5 losses on the road in a year, you're going to be there. You're going to be in the playoffs. So to win half your games on the road, hats off to any team that does that. It's so tough to win in the NFL, no less win on the road. If you think about it, there's a reason for it. Okay, so you have a Sunday night game, right? So then, you're hurting on Monday, so that everyone gets time off on the Monday. All the players, maybe coaches. I'm sure they're at home studying, Some coaches come in. And then you have Tuesday where, they report. And then they do a walk around on the Wednesday, and then they have a little practice on Wednesday. Now, mind you, it's a Thursday night game. Okay? And you just, if you were just playing on an away game like the Vikings, and you come back and you're playing a Thursday night game, I mean, in all reality, you just went home after the last game. In Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, they only live like an hour away with a flight. So they got home, and they were just hanging, They're at home, man. They and the Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, they're in Pittsburgh and they had their game, and then they have to come out and come to a Thursday night game. They have a less day because they need a day of travel and they need to get there by Wednesday. So really, they only have just a couple days, not even a day of practice. They get there Wednesday, and they'll just have a walk around, and then they'll go over their game plan. And then on Thursday, the players get well rested and get ready for the game on that Thursday night. So in that in that aspect, it goes to to Minnesota. Edge of Minnesota, because they're a home game. They didn't have to come home and then leave again and go on an away game. And that's the reason why it's so hard for these teams to win on an away game. Just recently with Tampa Bay, just won an away game. They were in Atlanta, and they won, but it looked sloppy. But, it was an away game, and divisional game as well. So you have to understand that if it's a divisional game, these teams, divisional games, they play each other more than once every year. So, and it's different than the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand. They are not in the same division. The last time they played each other was 4 years ago. So, it's the whole process is different than a division game, because with a division game, you played this team multiple times throughout the whole 10 years. You played each other 20 times, in 4 years, these two teams play themselves with one time. So, that's what makes it such a great game to predict, because it's unpredictable. And you're going to be the hero if you predict the right person. Now, I can see the Pittsburgh Steelers going in here and just trying to pound the ball, because the Minnesota Vikings defense just isn't good at all. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, instead of being 23rd, will be more like a 12 or 14 offense against this team. That's what you have to figure. Because there's a 23rd ranked defense, 23 ranked offense against a 29th ranked defense. So you got to figure that offense is going to look much better than they have looked. And the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't looked, I don't think they've really looked like a playoff team. Excuse me if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but to me this year, you just don't look it. Boswell's doing great. Ben's, you could tell Ben's laying, he's tailing off. Ben is definitely tailing off. And I think Kirk Cousins playing out of his mind. His passing is 7th in the NFL. That offense is 7th in passing in the NFL. That's pretty good. You're talking likes of Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, on and on. Rodgers, Brady, Wentz, keeps going on and on. Garoppolo, all these great quarterbacks. Tua's playing a great game lately. The Miami Dolphins, what? Wow. How about the Miami Dolphins this year, huh, guys? I mean, it's just, wow. Jalen Hurts has been playing well, and oh my gosh. How about Heineke? Heineke is I don't know, he's a winner. He just knows how to win. The way he comes back near the end of the game, he's ruthless. The kid he drops dimes. I mean, he's scary. Dak Prescott. I mean, all those quarterbacks I just mentioned, you're talking, Kirk Cousins is right up there with him, guys. Right up there with him. Number 7. That's interesting. Let's get to the pick. Last week, mind you, my upset special last week was Nikki's Niners. I'm sorry, Nikki. Sorry. The 49ers to lose to the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. I didn't think it was really that. I thought it was my upset special. I knew they would lose. I just didn't know how much. But I just knew Seattle would come back. I something about it, the way Russell Wilson played near the end of the last game. This game, he looked pretty dynamite. I just knew it. He would come back and win. And, Russell Wilson, how about him, and, where will he be next year at the end of this year, right? I think he'll be in a different team. And now, mind you, you have to think about all of this when you're calling games, you have to think, they're on the road. It's really hard to win on the road. And I just knew that Seattle was really, really close in a winning game. And the San Francisco 49ers, they're gelling, but they're not gelling, something about them. Their record is what it is. And I think that, they're possibly a playoff team. I hope they are, for Nikki's sake, my good friend up in San Francisco, Nikki. She loves those Niners, Nikki's Niners. Anyway, so tonight's game, let's just make a prediction. I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 6-5-1, Vikings 5-7. Vikings really need this game. They looked terrible last week. Their heads are shamed that they got beat by the Detroit Lions. But hey, the Detroit Lions beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, they didn't beat them; they tied them. So, I mean, come on. I mean, both teams, they're pathetic to even let a team like Detroit play them tough. But it's the NFL. These guys are in the NFL for a reason, because they're great. Trust me. Just because a team is 1-10-1, like the Detroit Lions, doesn't mean that the players aren't great. If you're in the NFL, you're great. You are a really, really good football player. It's just you need to take that talent and mold it, and I hope Detroit will one day. So this game, it's like a pick'em game. You have the Minnesota Vikings, you have Kirk Cousins at home, and I think Kirk Cousins at home will find himself, but they always have that tendency to lose. They always have that tendency, and that offense is just stellar. I don't think the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers will hold the Minnesota Vikings, especially at home in Minnesota. It's a short week for Pittsburgh, and a shorter week and then Minnesota, that's for sure, because I had the 2 flights they had to go from one city to another. Now, I really like this game. It's going to be an exciting game. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Minnesota Vikings at home. I think Pittsburgh Steelers will win. They'll be 7-5-1 at the end of this game. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Vikings will be 5-8. Something's going on in Minnesota there. I don't think it's the offense. I definitely see it's a defensive problem. It's going to be an exciting game. I think it'd be like 1 or 2 point game. I think Pittsburgh will win it at last second field goal. Minnesota's Vikings, they can't. That defense, you got a minute to go and you're losing by, or you're winning by 2 points. You know, that defense of Minnesota, they're not going to hold the team back. And, you know, Ben Roethlisberger, how many times has he did a last-minute drive and to win the game? And you got Chris Boswell, who's going to be kicking the field goal to win this game over Minnesota. It's going to be by a field goal, really close, like 1 or 2 point game. Steelers over the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. And let's hear it up. Let's hear it, people, for Sunday. And once again, we have a few hard games to pick. I mean, the Thursday night game was hard to pick, wasn't it? I mean, it was like a crapshoot, and you know, just have to look at things and how the teams are playing. And I'm calling the Steelers, and then the next game, oh my God, you have the Los Angeles Rams going into Arizona. Now, Arizona came into the Los Angeles Rams, and they beat the Rams, and the Rams were humiliated in front of their home fans. And now it's in Arizona. You know, I mean, now, mind you, the Rams have won 8 of the last 9 games versus Arizona. They lost this last year, but before that, they were 8-8. 8 games they've won and 8 games they had played. And now it's the 9th. They're 8-9. 8-9. You know, 8 wins out of 9 games. Wow. They're 8-1 against Arizona. You know, that's something. That's something you always have to think. And the Rams are 8-4. The Arizona Cardinals are 10-2. I think Arizona's a good team. I really do. I think that they're everyone's, you know, they're 10-2. They're the best team in football, guys. The best team in football, and there's a reason for that. And both of these teams, I'm going to go to the stats here quickly. You're going to have to listen to me and why these teams are who they are. The Rams' offense is 6th. The offense for the Arizona Cardinals is 13th. The defense for the Arizona Cardinals is number 4. Number 4. And the defense for the LA Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, is number 11. Now they've come down. I think they were like 14th or 15th. Now they're 11th. It's getting a little bit better. The passing attack for the Rams is number 3, and the passing attack for the Arizona Cardinals is number 12. But this is where it gets shaky for the Rams. Their rushing attack for the Rams is 23rd. And Matthew Stafford does scramble and he does run some of the time, but it's not Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's not a Lamar Jackson, nor is he a Mahomes, where Mahomes takes off a lot. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not a Jalen Hurts. He's not a Tua. Matthew Stafford is a drop back passer. He just is. And he's great in the pocket. He's good when he rolls out, and he's good when he's on the run passing. That's when he's dangerous because he has a gun. Now, their rushing attack is 23rd, and the Cardinals are 11th. And that's a huge. And I'm looking at the stats. I'm going, wow. Rams. Ooh. Oh, no. And it's in Arizona. It's in Arizona. And the Rams haven't looked good as of late. They just haven't been gelling. And, when they're not gelling, they don't just, that's the record, 8-4. They should have a better record. They have a better team. Arizona has a great team as well. They really do. I think Kyler Murray's like this amazing quarterback. The kid isn't that tall, but man, does he have an arm, and man, is he accurate, and he can run and he pass, and he just is so good. and this team is so good because they're number 4 in defense. That's surprising. And the Rams' offensive line just can't keep the other team away from Matthew Stafford. And Stafford is just, dishing up pick sixes, interceptions, and I just don't see this game. I mean, the last game they played was October 3rd of this year, and the Cardinals beat the Rams 37-20. That 20 was a gift. So I just don't see that the Rams, the way they've been playing, and they're sometimes, their defensive line hasn't really played up to par. They should be just stout, and no one should be rolling over them. You got to look at the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Tampa Bay Bucks, their defense, you can't run on them. You just can't. And there you got a good, team that, to rush the passer as well. I don't think they're as good as maybe the rushing the passers as the Rams, but they're pretty close. And that's the difference between those teams. This game is a really tough game to call. I'm from Los Angeles, and I live in Los Angeles. Not from Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles. And, I can't get my emotions involved into picking up games. I don't really have a favorite team, but, of course, you hope that, in your back of your mind, you're hoping, I hope my home team wins. But I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I'm not a team type of player, like team type of person who picks games. And I'm more of I like players, and that's why I have 56 fantasy teams, and I think that's what helps me pick games, is knowing who's down, who's not, who's hurt, what team's hurt, what team's not, and at the end of this game in the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams are going to go into the Cardinals, and unfortunately, the Rams will lose, and the Cardinals will be 11-2 at the end of this game, and the Rams will fall to 8-5. Like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of their game with the Vikings will be 7-5-1. We have another game. All these games are tough. All these games are really tough. You have the Las Vegas Raiders going into Kansas City, right, on Sunday, and then you're playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have allowed 11.2 points per game since Week 8, second fewest in the NFL. Their defense, second fewest in the NFL. That's just amazing, and that's the reason why I think right now. I think the Chiefs in the AFC are that team right there is very, very dangerous. And even with keeping their opponents down to that many points on defense, their defense is still ranked 24th in the nation. Now, the offense on the Las Vegas Raiders is number 10. And the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs is number 4. And the defense for the Raiders is 17. And like I said before, the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs is 24. We have a passing attack of the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr. If anyone bags on Derek Carr, he's second in the NFL in passing. He's number 2. Derek Carr is number 2 in passing in the NFL. Yes, number 2. And Patrick Mahomes is number 5. I'm sorry, 2 beats 5, guys. It just does. You know that as well as I do. And then your rushing attack for the Las Vegas Raiders is number 27. And the rushing attack for the Kansas City Chiefs is 19th. So, I mean, you look at this game with stats-wise, the last time each played, the Chiefs just destroyed the Raiders. It was this year, it was last month, 41-14. But on the other hand, look what the Kansas City Chiefs, how they played against the Dallas Cowboys. And they had a very, very low-scoring game. And then the Kansas City prevailed. But and the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Cowboys on Turkey Day. That was my upset special that week. Turkey Day was the Raiders beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Raiders, they've been playing for a long time. I can remember them playing back when, I mean, they have a strong history. You have the Kansas City Chiefs in Vegas. The Raiders are 6-6. I think this is a must game for the Raiders. I think they're a better team than their last game that they played. And I really think the Raiders in this game are really going to give the Kansas City Chiefs a run for the money. The Mahomes factor, as of late, they've been clicking and not clicking on their offensive line. Mahomes has been running out of his mind. Their defense, like I said, has been getting better. And in the last, since week 8, which is, it's week 14. Since week 8, they've only allowed 11.2 points per game. That's the Kansas City Chiefs, and they played some good teams too. So it matters when it comes to at this time of the year. The running game is, the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots showed on Monday Night Football, where it was just a terrible winter night. And they just showed that which team wins when it comes to rushing. And I think I'm seeing this game. I think the Raiders are going to take the game out of the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the Raiders are going to rush the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, they're going to keep him on his back. And I think this is going to be my upset special of the week. My upset special of the week is the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And that's my upset special of the week. And the next game, we have the Dallas Cowboys going into the Washington football team in Washington, D.C. The 8-4 Cowboys and the 6-6 Washington football team. The Washington football team has won 4 straight games since the bye. And when they started 2-6, so they were 2-6, and suddenly off the bye they're 6-6. That's a pretty strong. Heineke looks great. Their defense are playing a lot better. Gibson's playing great. Heineke just shows a way to win. The Cowboys are on the road. Now Pollard has an injury. He's a 50-50 chance to play. I don't think he's going to play. That hurts the Cowboys because they're just going to have to rely on Zeke. And I think if they just rely on Zeke, he's just a north-south type of guy. And, that's what type of runner he is. Not saying he's not a great runner, he is. But he's that north-south type of runner. He's not like a Tony Pollard where Tony can go on the outside and then he can run routes and do that infamous screen to Pollard and eat up a lot of yards. And he's quick, very quick. Yet he is hurt, and they don't know if he's going to be playing. That hurts the Cowboys. And I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to be playing either. So it's going to be a tough game, but a tough game for the Cowboys, especially with the Washington Redskins. Now the Cowboys are their offense is number 1, and their defense is number 26. Now their defense before was pretty okay. I mean, they started in the 20s, and they went to 18, and they went to 12. And this is rankings in the NFL. And now they're back up to 26th. I think maybe teams are finding out where their weaknesses are, and they're exploiting them, and then they're trying to make adjustments, but I mean their adjustments as of late hasn't worked because they went from number 12 to all the way to 26 now, defense in the National Football League. And that's, hello, Las Vegas Raiders coming into town and beating you. And then you have the defense of the Washington football team is 16th. The passing attack on the Dallas Cowboys is 4th. They're 7th in rushing, and that's because of Pollard and Zeke. So if Pollard goes down, then, their rushing attack isn't going to be as intense. And the passing attack for Heineke and the Washington football team is 21st. Their rushing is 10th. Now, it's always hard to go into another stadium, especially a divisional game, and win on the road, especially the way the Cowboys have been playing. The last game was played on the 26th of last month, and the Washington football team beat them 41-16. Wow, 41-16. That was not a lot last month. A year ago, on November 26th, the Washington football team beat the Cowboys. All right, so that was last year, and right now, the Cowboys are concerned with Pollard, Cedric Wilson, Nigel Brown, and Elliott. Zeke. I mean, they're all have suspect. And then on the other hand, the Washington football team, there's a lot of guys who are hurt. McKissick, Allen, Samuel, Collins, Larson, Schniff, Davis, C. Jones. I mean, wow. So you have to, there's more people hurt on the Washington football team. Yet this is a good game. This is a great game. This is going to be one of those games that you just got to call it, And I think, the way Washington has been playing lately, they're at home. Heineke's been playing out of his mind. The Washington football team's been stepping up defensively. The Dallas Cowboys defense has been getting worse every game. I'm going to give this one to the Washington football team. They beat the Dallas Cowboys. At the end of this game, the Washington football team will be 7-6. The Dallas Cowboys will be 8-5. That's dangerous for the Dallas Cowboys because, they could be tied with Washington, and then Washington wins this game. And, that's, if they're tied at the end, in wins and losses, we give it to the team who beat the other team, right? Here we go. The next game we have the Jaguars going into the Titans, the Tennessee Titans. Wow. The Jags 17 points or fewer in each of the 6 games since the bye. Wow. 17 points they've scored or fewer in each of the last 6 games since their bye. Okay, so what does that tell you? They're 2-10. And the Titans are 8-4. This is a game for the Titans. I just don't see. They're going into Tennessee. I don't see the Jags beating them. I just don't see the Jags beating them. I see the Titans beating the Jaguars in Tennessee, and then we have the next game. We have the Jaguars and the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks against the Houston Texans. Houston looked terrible last week. They got shut out by the Indianapolis Colts. And, I could say, I'm going to have a lock. But, that's just not much of a lock in this game. Seattle's 4-8. And the Texans are 2-10. It's like an eye roll on this game. It's an ugly game. And they're in Texas. I think the Texans will play them really tight. And I think the Texans will beat the Seahawks in this game. I think the Texans will win at home Houston has 13.7 points per game this season, and the fewest in the NFL. And I just see the Houston Texans beating the Seattle Seahawks. We have the Saints going into the New York Jets. The Saints aren't the Saints. You know, when you lose a person like Drew Brees, and then they lost Jameis Winston, I mean, it's just, where do you go? Who do you turn to? You know? I mean, Jason Hill? It's Trevor Siemian. I think Trevor Siemian, I would be starting him. That's just my opinion. And I think Trevor is a better quarterback, but I mean, Jason Hill, they just signed him a 4-year deal, $40 million, and if he gets starter, he'll be getting $25 million a year. So that's interesting for Mr. Hill. Good for him. They're playing the Jets. The Jets are 3-9. The Saints are 5-7. New Orleans lost 5 straight games in a season. It was the first time in Sean Payton since 2006 they've lost 5 straight games, and they're on this losing streak, and they just don't look the same. I think the Jets are going to win this game at home. The Jets over the Saints, and the Jets will end up 4-9 after the end of this game. The next game we have the Atlanta Falcons going into the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons have been outscored 112-41 in the last 10 weeks. Their defense is just outrageous. And the Carolina Panthers defense is 2. They're playing in Carolina against the Falcons. The Carolina Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons. I see the Carolina Panthers in this game over the Falcons. The next game, you have a really tough game, another 10 a.m. game. I mean, a lot of tough games to call, guys. You have the Baltimore Ravens, who are really, really hurting in the secondary. I mean, badly. That's why they went for a 2-point conversion. That's what Harbaugh said. What a terrible call that was. I'm sorry. That was a bad call, man. Kick the extra point, and you have a chance that you could win the toss and get the ball and score. You guys just drove down the field. And why not give your offense another chance? And you know, it's just, I don't get it. That was literally the stupidest call I've ever seen. And, I don't get it. And now the Browns, they're going into Browns. The offense on the Baltimore Ravens is 5th. The offense of the Browns is 18th. The defense for the Baltimore Ravens is 18th. The defense for the Browns are 3rd, so the Ravens' defense is 18th. I said, what was the Dallas Cowboys were 26th, and I was going, And the Baltimore Ravens' passing attack is 15th, getting better. They're going down. And then the 25th for the Cleveland Browns. I'm looking at the rushing attack. More of it's like Lamar Jackson. He's 3rd. And you got the 4th-ranked rushing attack for the Cleveland Browns. They used to be number 1, but they're number 4 now. That's from the backs getting hurt and Chubb and stuff. This is going to be an interesting game. I don't think you can run off of Baltimore, but you can pass off them. It's going to be really hard to run against them. And that's what the Cleveland Browns do best. They run against teams. I think Baltimore they're just going to dare Baker Mayfield to beat them. Now they could, because they don't have all the top wide D-backs. The defensive backs of the Baltimore Ravens are all hurt. So they just brought Humphreys. Humphreys, one of the best and backfields of the defense, and they just lost him for the year. So that's tough. That's really tough. So you got to figure, someone's got to step up. someone's going to have to step up, They just do. They have to step up. I really think that Harbaugh, that was a bad decision last week. I really do. Why not give that chance? Your team was, they were rushing the passer. I just think if you would have went for the extra point and give your chance to, get the ball first and score, and touchdown, you win. I think you could have done that. I think you should have done that. And then, so you have the rushing attack for the Baltimore Ravens, like I told you, was third and fourth for the Cleveland Browns. We already went over that. Chubb, yada, yada. But the thing of it is, this game is going to be a tough one. A lot of people are calling the Baltimore Ravens to lose this game. It's, they're going away. They're 8-4. The Cleveland Browns need this game. They really need this game. They're 6-6. If they lose this game, they're in trouble to make the playoffs. And that team in the beginning of the year, the way they were playing, the Baltimore Ravens, they are just been winning ugly as of late. And the Cleveland Browns in the beginning of the season, they were expected to, go to the Super Bowl. Everyone's talking about them being Super Bowl ready, And, the Ravens beat the Browns on November 28th in Baltimore this year, and they beat them 16-10. I mean, it was an ugly game, but they beat them, and they held Baltimore. Baltimore held the Cleveland Browns running game, and I think they're going to do it again this game. I really don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to win this game. I think it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people are calling that they think that Cleveland's going to win this game, but I don't see it happening. I think the Baltimore Ravens will beat the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Lamar Jackson is 5-1 head-to-head against Baker Mayfield. 5-1, guys. 5-1. Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns. That right there is going to be, well, are you ready? That's going to be my lock of the week. The Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns. That's going to be my lock of the week. That's a tough lock, guys. That's not like an easy game to pick. Like, if you're picking like the other games like this, the Seahawks or the Jags, like the Titans over the Jags. I could have said, that's going to be my lock, but no, I like to have some gut when I call a lock, and I like to have some gut when I call an upset. That's just me. That's how I roll. Now, mind you, it's week 14. Out of 13 weeks, my lock, I'm 12-1 with my locks. In 13 games, I'm 12-1. There's not one analysis on the NFL Network, on ESPN, Sports, CBS, you name it. There's not one person that has that record calling games. Check it out. You'll see. So the next game we have the New York Football Giants going into Los Angeles SoFi Field, and the Giants are 4-6. They're playing the Chargers, who came to life last week. Wow. They just took over and dominated the Cincinnati Bengals, didn't they? It was a sloppy game, but man, the Chargers defense came alive, and they're going to come alive again in this one. They're going to be at home. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm giving this one to the Los Angeles Chargers over the New York Football Giants in Los Angeles. It's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be might be a lot of scoring. I might not, but I think the Chargers will, 2 touchdowns over the New York Football Giants in this one. The next game we have the Denver Broncos hosting the Detroit Lions, 1-10-1 Lions, just off their home win, their first win of the year against the Minnesota Vikings. They went nuts when they won. It was so neat to see that. But unfortunately, going nuts on winning your first game. I understand that. But, it was kind of, I don't know. I know. You win a game, you go nuts. Yeah. But these guys, it was like they won the Super Bowl. Guys, you've only won one game a year. Great. Good. Let's go to the next one. That's what it should have been. But it was very emotional. You just had the shooting of the 4 kids that passed away from guns. And, they were playing for the kids. Everyone there was. So, they were playing with heavy hearts, and I'm so glad that the Detroit Lions won last week. But they won't win this game. And the Broncos will beat the Detroit Lions. Detroit, the NFC teams this season are the Denver Broncos playing the NFC teams they're 3-1. So that right there, tells you something. I just don't see the Detroit Lions beating the Broncos. The Broncos defense, they're scary. I think the Broncos will be 7-6 after this game. They're going to be in the hunt for a playoff because at the end of this game, they're 7-6. At the end of the Chargers game, they'll be 8-5. They're right there. Now, this next game is, I feel so sorry for the Buffalo Bills. Man, what a terrible loss they had. The game was just terrible. Just terrible for the Buffalo Bills, it was like 40, 50 mile gust of wind, snow, cold. The wind was going sideways sometimes. And they missed that one field goal near the, in the fourth quarter, the Buffalo Bills. If they hit that field goal, and then the second time that they drove down the field, the last time, instead of going for a touchdown, they would have been kicking for a field goal for the win. So, it's just, they're a better team than New England. I'm sorry, New England, put your team against the Buffalo Bills and when it's not so terrible, the wind factor and all that stuff isn't a factor, and the Buffalo Bills beats the New England Patriots hand down. Now, the Bills are going into Tampa after smarting their loss, and it's just so terrible. I feel bad for the Buffalo Bills. It's a short week. They lost on Monday Night Football, and the Tampa Bay Bucks are at home. So the Buffalo Bills had it's like I said, it's a short week, and they were in Buffalo, and now they have to travel to Tampa, which is going to be a beautiful weather, much better than Buffalo weather, that's for sure. Now, Tom Brady's record is 32-3, career record against Buffalo. 32-3, the most wins by any quarterback versus a single opponent. 32-3. Wow. That's something to think about. The Bucks are 9-3. I just don't see. I love the Bills. I love the Bucks. I love all teams. I used to be a massive Buffalo Bill football fan when I was in upstate New York growing up. And I just love that team. I just wish the best for them. But the best isn't going to happen this game. You have the Bucks playing at home. They're 5-0 at home. There's some pluses on this game for the Bucks. They're 5-0 at home. Tom Brady's 32-3 against Buffalo. They played much better at home, and I think the Buffalo Bills are in trouble. If they lose this game, they're going to be in deep trouble. They're going to be 7-6, and the New England Patriots are going to be in the driver's seat to win the division. Big time driving seat. But still, I hope the Bills win. I really do, for the Bills' sake, but I don't think they're going to. I'm going to give this one to the Bucks over the Bills, and at the 125 game. And so it's even going to be a warmer game. It's going to be at 125. And, it's going to be very, very humid. Now, you have to understand something here. When you go in your northern team, you go down south into like Miami and Tampa, and these teams are very, they're interesting in the fact that they really go for the type of weather that the team is from. They love the humidity and the heat. Tom Brady used to be different, but now he isn't, because he's been playing in Tampa Bay for the last 2 years. And he's been doing really well. I mean, he did well last year. Won a Super Bowl in Tampa. So I think it's very intimidating. The Bills need this game. They need it. They really need this game. And so does the Bucs. The Bucs need this game. They'll be 10-3 at the end of this game. They really need to go ahead of. I believe they play Arizona one more time near the end of the year, and that's going to be really, really crucial for the Buccaneers to win, because they want to be the number one seed going into the playoffs. So we have the next game. We have the 49ers going into the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals are at home. The San Francisco 49ers are 12-4 versus the Cincinnati Bengals all time, including the playoffs. I think that the 49ers definitely had Seattle Seahawks. I think they were winning the whole game until the end. And the 49ers just gave it up, the 49ers offense is 14th, and the Cincinnati Bengals is 15th. The defense for the Niners are 5th, and the defense for the Bengals are 13th. You have the San Francisco 49ers. They always complain about Jimmy G. His passing is ranked 16th, so he's average in the NFL. Not average. He's, to be in the NFL, you're great if you're a quarterback. It's starting. And then the passing on the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, he's 11th. But they pass more. And the San Francisco 49ers run more. They're 8th in running. And the Bengals are 17th with Joe Mixon. But they're not going to run against the San Francisco 49ers defense. They're just not going to run against it. It's not going to happen. And as of late, they've been getting, people have been getting to Joe Burrow. The defensive lines. And San Francisco's defense, San Francisco's offense with running the ball, I'm giving this one to Nicky's Niners. They will bounce back, and they will be 7-6 at the end of this game. And then the Bengals will be 7-6 at the end of this game. And hats off to the San Francisco 49ers. Nicky's Niners will win against the Bengals. We have a Sunday night extravaganza. We have the Bears going into Lambeau Field and playing Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Wow. Great game. Packers have won 5 straight games versus Chicago. Chicago is still starting Andy Dalton. Yeah. There you go. Instead of the laugh, we got a nice clap and emotional. They're still starting Andy Dalton. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah, Yeah, I'm so sorry, Chicago Bear fans. It's not a hip hip hooray. He's better than Fields. I think he gives the team a better chance to win. But they're not going to beat the big Green Bay Packers. Packers 10-3 after the end of this game. 10-3. The Bucs will be 10-3. The Bucs, Packers, and it will be the Arizona Cardinals. All having similar records, but Arizona will be 11-2 because they're going to beat the Rams. We have a nice Sunday night game. We have some great teams, the Monday night game on the Rams and the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals will win. and they'll be 11-2. So, I mean, there's going to be a couple teams that'll be 10-3, and I think it's going to be up to those final games to get the number one spot for the Cardinals, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Green Bay Packers. So it's going to be tough. I think it's definitely the 49ers. I think they're dangerous if they make the playoffs because of their running game. I think the Packers are a much better team this year. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing their best football right now. I think the Denver Broncos are a very scary team. They could upset some teams. They might even make it into the playoffs. Same with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're a much better team. I think the Ravens have been just gutsing it out and gutsing it out and gutsing it out, and I think they're going to guts out another win and go 9-4, and I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be in trouble. I think the Panthers are definitely going to beat the Falcons. I have the Jets over the Saints. That's kind of an upset, I guess. And then we have the Texans beating the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, my gosh. And then we have the Washington football team over the Dallas Cowboys. Oof. That's tough. And then we have the upset special, the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Minnesota Vikings tonight in Minnesota. That's it, people. That's all. That's all we have for Week 14. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, fantasy football is heating up. My 56 teams, I'm enjoying it. I'm not enjoying some leagues. I'm enjoying other leagues. The majority of the leagues I am enjoying. It's really important to look who's on the waiver line. There's a lot of teams that have buys, and they're just dropping players just to pick up other players so they maybe can win a game. If they're going, I don't think it's smart to go up without a defense or a kicker. Kickers and defenses are temperamental, and you don't really win too many, championships in fantasy football with kickers and defenses. But sometimes, like on an occasion, like Carlson, which is now one of the highest paid kickers in the NFL, just signed a new contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. Good for him. And, and defenses, sometimes you get, teams that'll score like a couple touchdowns. They'll have this epiphany and they'll go nuts and they'll intercept a bunch of passes and score like 20, 21 points. But on the average, you got defenses maybe scoring anywhere between 7 to 12 points. Not many more than that. And then you have kickers that score anywhere from 9 to 12 points. Not much of that. Sometimes you have ones, like I said, that, kick out of their mind, or, they have this, it's a luck. It's all a luck thing, If the team, drove down, or if they recovered a fumble, they couldn't move the ball and they kick a field goal, that type of thing. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week 14 in picking. We'll just go over really, really quickly for people. Monday Night Football, I'm predicting the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Los Angeles Rams in Arizona. Tonight's game, I'm picking the Steelers over the Vikings. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think Boswell's going to kick a field goal at the end of the game and then win it. That's what I think, like a good 24-yard field goal. You'll see. And then the Raiders, I predict that's my upset special of the week, is the Raiders to beat the Chiefs. I have the Cowboys over, I have the Washington football team beating the Cowboys. Sorry, tone lock. And then I have the Titans beating the Jags. I have the Texans over the Seattle Seahawks. I have the Jets over the Saints. I have the Panthers over the Falcons. I have the Ravens beating up on the Browns. That's my lock of the week. The Ravens beating the Browns. Wow. And then I have the Los Angeles Chargers beating the New York Giants. Remember, I'm 12-1 on locks. for the year. And then I have the Broncos beating up on the Detroit Lions. Congratulations, Detroit, for last week for winning your first game. And I have the Tampa Bay Bucks to beat the Bills. The Bills are going to be in deep trouble. They lose this game, they're going to be in deep trouble. I think they're going to lose this game. I really do. They're going to be in deep trouble. They're going to be at 7-6. I mean, the best they can be at the end of the year would be 11-6. So they're going to have to put on a winning streak. We have the 49ers beating up on the Bengals. The 49ers are going to be 7-6. The Bengals 7-6 after the end of this game. San Francisco are 12-4 record against Cincinnati of all time, including the playoffs. And last but not least, Sunday night game. I'm having the Packers over the Bears. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Calvin Dean Show, sponsored by the NFL Network. Don't forget to go to NFLshop.com and pick out some great gifts for the holidays. And remember, stay safe, get vaccinated, have a wonderful week 14. Good luck, everyone.